Let me music. Audio. Okay, I got that fixed. All right, I think we're good now. StreamYard changed some things up, and so yeah, here we are. Okay, well, it's 6:23 a.m. and I've had an interesting experience. I need to bring some clarification on some issues that have happened on Twitter, or X as it's now called. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go to Twitter real quick. So for those that don't know, which I didn't know until tonight, so if I search Dr. James White right now, right? This post from Soteriology 101, they're talking about 1 John 5:1, but it's the reason being is because of this challenge right here, the provisionist challenge. Okay, and this is an old argument. I was hit with this challenge in 2017. Okay, but so Dr. White challenged David Allen, and I wanted this to be a time, opportunity to try out ChatGPT's abilities, my super layman version. And for those that don't understand, and which I'll show you all in a minute, my channel is the Layman Seminary. So when I use AI, when I use ChatGPT and the outputs that I have based on the stuff that I'm working on, papers, debate prep, all of that stuff, I call it super layman because it's above me in that sense, But anyway, you can see that I did put some stuff here. I don't even know if it showed up down here, but I also interacted with this guy, and he interacted with me. Okay, so let me go to my timeline. All right, so there we are live. All right. See this one, Super Layman's response to James White. That was a response to this post he had here. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the very beginning of whenever I woke up. Well, not woke up, when I got off work and I saw all this. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to jump in the discussion. Because I've been, the thing is that every time I do a formal debate with Free Grace, somebody wants to bring up Greek arguments, and their Greek arguments are they're perpetuated by Dr. White, John Piper, and others. And I think some of them are behind times in their argumentation. So what I did was I screenshotted it. I put lines underneath the substantival participles, or attributive if you take pos as the subject. And then boxes around the verbs. Okay. I put that there in screenshot, and then I provided super layman's response. Then I also included in 2017, if you go to my academia edu, oops, why am I on the wrong aisle? It shouldn't be. Why would you do that? Okay, let's just go there. I guess you can't go directly from the papers. I don't even know why it doesn't have me signed in right now. Continue with email. I did all this earlier. I don't know what's going on. So, I mean, this is old. right here, regeneration in 1 John 5, 2017. So this is an outline of a video that used to be here with a discussion with the Calvinist Matt Yester, right? And it was a good discussion. We mainly discussed Wallace in the proper way, you know, to deal with participles and this argument and all this. I don't necessarily have time to walk through all of this because my main reason for making this video is to explain to the person that I'm engaging with on Twitter what Super Layman is and how it's in ChatGPT. But anyway, you have that there. So you have that going on. And then also the paper that I wrote for Advanced Greek 1. And you know, in Advanced Greek 1, the purpose of your paper is you're supposed to take like a particular syntactical category, a part of Greek, and study it all out. So I would change the way I would title my paper now. But at that time, I called it the presence or absence of verbal aspect in the substantival participle. And I wrote this in 2020, okay? So the thumbnail that you see on this video is actually from a presentation that I did for that. So if we go back to Twitter, you'll see that I uploaded that discussion so people could have context for that. I uploaded the participle thing, and I uploaded the presentation right here. In addition to that, I also uploaded this video where I had this informal discussion with this guy, and this is the reaction to it on 1 John 3:9, because these same categories keep coming up in these debates. Plus, I said this: I challenge anyone to formally debate the function and force of the Greek substantival participle in John 3:16. This will consider the verbal aspect, action start, etc. I also put up my video that I originally did on Kevin Biblical Discussions explaining John 5:24 and the abuse and use of the languages in there for help. I also included one of my recent videos, debates with Truth and Telos, Professor Preterist, where he was going to come at me with Greek, and so I went Greek heavy of it and respond to that, okay? And then I said this: fair warning, if you make an argument from the Greek on 1 John 5:1 from either the Calvinist or the Provisionist or any side, you are going to get a response from Super Layman ChatGPT5. So this is just my way of interacting, right? And so the first one I interacted with is the person that's interacting with me. You know, he's got this chart, and the evaluation by ChatGPT is loaded there. There's the chart that he made. It's a nice looking chart. I'm not dissing the chart. I also have this short that was based on a dream that I had a long time ago, where I met James White in person. He agreed to debate me over the substantival participle. And I think it's over a year ago or whatever. But then this person, I think this person is on the provisionist side. You know, they made their response. And so I did the same thing. I ran a Super Layman on it too, right? Then Sociology 101, which I think is Latent Flowers, he did one concerning Carson, and so I did a response there. Then I did a GPT response on my paper, and then there's the one on there. All right, so now we're bringing us up to date right now. Okay, so I'm interacting with this man right now, Ron Hartzell, Emotional Support Calvinist. He said, I don't know what you mean by go live, but if he has anything to do with a podcast, I won't be able to view it until late this afternoon at earliest. He said, frankly, your so-called GPT response is so simultaneous, pretentious, simple-minded, and logically incoherent that I wouldn't be surprised if James White chose not to waste his precious time even acknowledging him, let alone responding to them. I know I won't be responding to them any further. I'm presently caring for a 90-year-old mother-in-law whom I must, well, I'm praying for you, sir, must transfer from skilled nursing to a residential care facility by Monday. and I've only had enough time to cover a small portion of what's horribly wrong with them. The procedure of farming out your answers to an AI to the point that it actually drafts them for you, or even anything beyond supplying background research information for you to use in drafting your own, wouldn't be acceptable in any academy worth the name, and shouldn't be acceptable for anyone claiming to be in any kind of public ministry. I appreciate you identifying yourself free grace theology, which I assume is of the GS variety. No, it's not, but correct me if I'm wrong. As long as you're in that camp, or differences around what would be but some of many. Okay, so here's the issue. I uploaded my papers. I've been in seminary a long time before ChatGPT even existed, okay? And I'm a former debater. I use it as a tool. And then, so look, he's going in on responding to these other ones. Wow, this response is even more insanely fallacy-ridden than your previous one. I asked ChatGPT if it ever heard of super layman, and it hadn't, which seems odd to me if what you're saying is true. The fact that you're honest enough to tell me you're allegedly getting these so-called answers from some kind of AI might be considered commendable, but it also potentially exposes your own ability to completely think through these issues to provide a cogent response, especially since you seem to be unaware of just how awful these ones are. If you lack the confidence to take the time to come up with your own replies, allow me to encourage you. You could do much worse than the specialist drivel you've been posting thus far. Okay? And then, you know, he's got his other responses here. So let me open up ChatGPT, and you'll get an idea how I do things. Okay? The first thing is I have this stream right here, Super Layman. Every time I have an interaction or study something, I tell it, based on this chat, how would you upgrade Super Layman? Okay, and I put books in and other things like that and do that. So there's this, and then every time I bring the prompt back, I'm going to do this in real time so you see how I do this. But we're on this one right here. Evaluate 1 John 5:1. All right, so let's back up. All right. So you look, no prompt. All I said was evaluate this. Now, to be fair, when you go to personalization, my custom instructions here, I do have it loaded up with my main initializer or whatever terms you want to use for that. I still need to upgrade this and all that. A layman, seminary student, Bible teacher, and all that. In addition to that, this is the paid version. And I'm not an expert in ChatGPT. I'm using it as a working tool. I'm using it as a conversation discussion. All right. But so this is James White's challenge, right? So then it says below is a clear, rigorous evaluation of the argument, exegetically, linguistically, logically, and rhetorically. I will avoid all your internal super layman scaffolding unless you explicitly ask for the full diagnostic version. Now that, watch what happens whenever I kick that in. I haven't even done that yet. Executive summary. White's argument looks superficially grammatical, but collapses under, and it does all this. I can do a whole nother stream about the articles and the discussion, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. So it did its analysis, right? White's, all right, so it's going through, it's doing the analysis. I said, write a response eliminating vertical space and make it as long as White's. So that was the response to James White. There's that chart that I put in. It said below is a compact but dense evaluation. You can paste directly under the chart to dismantle its logic and expose the core fallacies. It addresses every move in the diagram without adding vertical space. So it evaluated the diagram of the person I was talking to, right? Then John 17 apologetics, who not sure who that is, but okay. He put in another one, and his on the provisionist side. So same thing. Below is a tight, continuous flow response you can post directly under the tweet. It matches the link and rhetorical weight of the tweet thread. Uses no vertical spacing and crushes the argument cleanly. All right. And then so it evaluated that. Then I think it was either provisionist perspective or Sociology 101, they quoted the Carson thing, the discussion about Carson. And so it did the same thing. Below is a clean, punchy, continuous flow response you can post online. It's the most powerful possible use of Carson against White because it exposes that White's entire argument overstates what even his own top-tier reform scholar would claim. That's what it's saying, right? So then, after doing all of that, I uploaded my advanced Greek paper, and I said my paper. That's all I told it. And so it says, below is an exact response you need, a direct application of your own paper to the 1 John 5:1 debate. And I used 1 John 5:1 as an illustration because that 2017 paper what spurred on all of this. Now, don't get me wrong, the substantival participle was on my radar since like 2010, but it really heated up around 2017. Okay, and so like I said, I wrote this substantival participle paper in 2020. Are using your document findings about substantival participles, verbal aspect, and the danger of interpreting the substantival participle. All right, so it goes through, it gives an evaluation of all of that, right? On my paper. Then I say rewrite but remove vertical space because it always wants to take a long route, right? So I do that. Then there's James White posting that other thing. So this is all that's offered. Somebody offered something. I can't remember what it was, as response. So this was the response that it gave. And then Ron, of course, responded. And here's his argument, right? And so here's its response. Here's a tight, continuous, no vertical space reply that directly dismantles Hensel's argument, exposes his contradictions, and leverages your paper plus Campbell against him. It's designed for posting under suite because he cited Con Campbell, right? And then so I made this comment. He made this comment, so I pasted it in, and so ChatGPT responded in this way. Here's a tight, continuous, no vertical reply that directly dismantles Hensel's semantic argument, exposes self-contradictions, and keeps the tone sharp but controlled. This is craft for Twitter X and will shut the whole thing down cleanly. All right, so that was posted. Then I said, I told him this. First off, I have not even given my response to Dr. White yet. Because see, here's the thing. A lot of people on social media, they're using ChatGPT and they're not even telling you that they're using ChatGPT. But I've used ChatGPT long enough so that I can notice the structure of how things are written. And so every time I post something that's ChatGPT, I say super layman ChatGPT's response, which is separate from mine because it could go beyond what I'm doing. And so that's why I do it that way. So, all right. And a high realm 22 animations. 1 second. Let me do this. All right. Now, Leighton Flowers and them are going to go live later on today about this. But anyway, I tagged some of them in and stuff. I don't, not for this video, but for that other post. So maybe it'll hit their radar, maybe not. I'm free grace, so they're not really interested in me. But anyway, I said, this is what I had told Ron. I said, do you believe my ChatGPT wrote what I said? Yes or no? Because if he said no, I was going to go live, which I'm doing now. Second, I'm tracking with what you say, which I am. I understand his arguments. I said, I am free grace and do not view the book of 1 John the way you do. All right. So then it made that response. Then I said, based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? All right. So I'm going to give you one example. There's others that I could show you, but this is how I constantly do. I do this all the time in my interactions. That way, Super Layman is always going above and beyond me, stretching me in other areas. He'll mention books, recommendations, where I need to strengthen myself, that type of thing like that. So look what this says. Below precise upgrade package Super Layman Omega needs based on this entire action with White and Hensel. This upgrade focuses on semantic pragmatic analysis, identity marker versus causal marker logic, Johannine evidentiary language, and stratified semantics, so you never get cornered again by arguments like evidence implies causation. No fluff, just the missing modules. So because of my interaction, I gotta let my cat out. Hold on. Go, bear. Come on. Get out. So because of this recent interaction and this output, I tell it how should it be upgraded, and this is the response. So it's evolving, if you will. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So number one, identity marker versus causal marker semantic engine. It uses this fluffy language. I know that, but okay. And it's a problem revealed. Calvinists shift from grammar to semantics and argue that evidence implies causation, collapsing identity traits into mechanistic effects. Upgrade. Super Layman now distinguishes four semantic functions of evidence. 1, identity evidence, family resemblance, classification. 2, covenantal evidence, membership markers, boundaries, because it knows how to do a lot of work in the covenants. Forensic evidence, cause and effect inference. Medical diagnostic evidence, symptom, underlying condition, because of the illustrations he gave earlier. Rule. For any biblical text, Super Layman will automatically detect which semantic type is active and block cross-domain fallacies. Applied to 1 John. Everyone loving, practicing righteousness, believing equals identity evidence, not forensic or medical evidence. Therefore, no causal inference allowed unless explicitly stated. 2, and see, this is stressed too much, because you can have an adverbial participle and it can be functioning causally. The issue is, can a substantival participle or attributive participle function adverbially? But anyway. 2, substantival participle aspect reduction module. So this is from my paper. Problem revealed. Calvinists treat hapastuon as if it were a temporal causal adverbial participle. Upgrade. Super Layman now applies your own research findings from your paper automatically. Substantival participles lie on a verbal adjective continuum. Nominalization article present reduces or removes verbal aspect. Nomic substantival participles are aspectually flat. Aspect absence equals no time, no cause. Rule. If the substantival participles function in substantively, that's kind of weird. It says it like that, but anyway. Super Layman forbids causal abstraction unless explicit syntactical cause markers exist. 3, Johannine evidentiary network. Problem revealed. Calvinists treat Johannine evidence as a mechanistic cause-effect instead of family membership classification. Upgrade. Super Layman now includes a Johannine-specific semantic grid that identifies family markers, life conditions, covenantal boundary markers. Rule. If 1 John evidence is traits of God's children, no effects caused by regeneration. The pattern is epistemological, not etiological. Semantic domain firewall. Problem revealed. Hensel smuggled Acts 1:3 proofs into 1 John as if they share semantic domains. Upgrade. Super Layman now blocks cross-genre semantic conflation. It will automatically flag forensic into epistolary transfer, medical covenantal transfer, or diagnostic identity transfer. Rule. Evidence must be interpreted within its genre and discourse purpose. Acts 1:3 historical forensic. 1 John covenantal familiar. I wouldn't use that exact language, but okay. You cannot transfer causation across domains. And it sounds like it's too genre dependent there, but regardless. Semantic causation logic filter. Problem revealed. Hensel denied making a causal argument while making a causal argument. Evidence implies causation. Upgrade. Super Layman now includes a formal filter that tests statements for hidden causal commitments. It identifies when someone denies causation verbally but smuggles it in through semantics or through analogy, forensic, medical, etc. Output. Semantic causation detected. Argument inconsistent. Bonus. Debate mode heuristic for 1 John 5:1 discussions. Super Layman will now ask the following automatic questions. Is the participle substantival? If yes, no temporal inference. Is the evidence identity-based or effect-based? If identity-based, no causation inference. Is the parallel structure being applied consistently? If not, flag inconsistency. Is the interlocutor switching semantic fields? If yes, raise semantic inflation error. Where does the text explicitly state causation? If nowhere, stop the causal inference. Result. With these upgrades, Super Layman can now instantly expose semantic equivocation, break causal smuggling, classify Johannine evidence correctly, block all attempts to turn 1 John identity markers into regeneration cause effects, defend free grace readings at the semantic, grammatical, discourse level simultaneously. And then it said you can generate an initializer. And so I said an initializer block containing these upgrades. So there it went through and it gives all the upgrades, and I'm just giving y'all an illustration of all this, right? So then I uploaded the 2017 work that was prior to that because I wanted it to get more specifics. And so it made some more changes, evolved a little bit more. And then I told it to evaluate the 2017 work. So it evaluated my 2017 work. And then I told it to evaluate my paper. So it evaluated the paper, right? And then after evaluating my paper, I said, based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? And so then it gave me the upgrader and the initializer. And here we are right now. Result. And then I apply all suggestions. So now it's changed. And then after all of that, I uploaded the Greek verb revisited. Okay. And I said, evaluate this chat and Super Layman, talking about my current way my ChatGPT operates based on this standard work on Greek verb revisited, right? So it evaluated all of that. Then after I did that evaluation, I said, based on this book and this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? So boom, we got all of that going on, right? I said, apply all suggestions and unified initializer block. So it did that. So then I said, wow, this response is even more insanely fallacious. This is the Ron's response. And so this is what it said. Here's the most effective, non-emotional, rhetorically dominant response you can post. Short, confident, and strategically devastating. It does three things at once. Dismiss the personal attack without engaging it. Reassert your position without defensiveness. Shifts pressure back onto him to engage arguments instead of insults. And it does so without mentioning Super Layman or AI. Here's the line. Ron, personal jabs don't answer arguments. If anything in my actual Greek analysis is incorrect, aspect, substantival force, identity, semantics, or the parallels in 229.4751, just show the error in the text. If you can demonstrate a single causal marker in 1 John 5:1 or an exegetical reason to treat hapastuo differently from hapoion or haagapon, I'll gladly acknowledge it. Until then, the rhetoric isn't doing the work that the grammar refuses to do. Why this works? It refuses to play his game. He wants you emotional and reactive. This keeps you analytical. It reframes the debate around the actual data. He cannot answer substantival participle rules, aspect, or Johannine identity semantics. He can answer. I don't doubt his abilities, but this thing is being pretty cutthroat right now. It demands specifically. Calvinists die when asked for explicit linguistic markers. It signals confidence without arrogance. You're asking him to prove one thing, a causal marker in 5:1. It exposes the bluff. He has been relying on insults because the text itself does not support his argument. Okay, so there's that, right? Now here's the thing. I'm going to, all right, watch what I'm going to do. You're going to see it right now. Based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? And I'm going to start doing this with all the anti-dispensationalists out there too. I'm going to train my model, if you want to call it my model, it's just Gpt with my use in it. It just responding to this stuff because they're using ChatGPT a lot of times to make their posts, and they're not owning up to it. So it's fast. We can bang out these issues, and then if people want to formally debate something, they can. You know, it's part of debate prep, in other words. Below is a precise upgrade pack Super Layman needs based on this part of chat, specifically the interaction with Ron Herzl's mockery, tone shifting, and rhetorical framing attempts. This upgrade does not alter your linguistic theological engine. It strengthens the rhetorical psychological layer, the fallacy forensic models, and the adversarial dialogue protocol that Super Layman must use whenever opponent shifts from argument, insult, narrative control. This is the missing piece to make Super Layman immune to ad hominem derailing. No fluff, only the exact upgrades. So here it is right now. The fallacy detection shield system, it's calling itself. Rhetorical authority firewall. Response rules. Interrogative redirect. Implicit premise mapping. Discourse power analysis. Precision engagement. All right. So like I said, it uses these weird type language, but all right, so now I'm gonna say apply all suggestions and give me an initializer or prompt. I'm gonna use the word prompt. Give me a prompt to transfer to another chat. So what I'm gonna do now is this version of Super Layman that was hyper focused on First Jump 5 because of this interaction. I'm now going to integrate it into my main Super Layman, and then we're going to bring that modified version back over to here and reevaluate things at a higher level. Okay. So it's bringing all that stuff together from this chat. Because the other one, I have empathy things, I have other things in play that will kind of soften the way this one is functioning right now. Because the way I have it is my GPT will match energy, basically. Okay. So now I'm going to take it and put it in Super Layman. And so I'm taking it, putting it in the Super Layman thing, as you're seeing right now. It's a little slow. All right. Then I'm going to tell it, based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? Now, I have a couple other things going on, but I can do those later. I'm just showing you the process I go through. I'm constantly mutating it. So it's thinking, and we're not doing any deep research or agent mode or anything right now. Come on, Slowpoke. Once this is upgraded, I'll go back to the First Jump 5.1 chat, and then I'll do real-time responses to his most recent posts. so that y'all could see how Super Layman addresses what he's saying. Because I want people to see that I'm really doing this with ChatGPT. I'm not making up stuff and then claiming it's ChatGPT. I'm pulling from papers I've done, debates I've done, those things like that. Come on, Slowpoke. Sometimes if you do this, sometimes if you reset it, not reset it, refresh it, it helps. It's still slow. Let me see what. Okay, I don't need Copilot open. Oh crap! It didn't do it. Let me try again. Yeah, it's bogged down right now. Whenever the chats get a lot of information in them, they become slower, I've noticed. But look, it's not giving me the plus button. So let me reduce it down. Oh, no. See, it's not giving me the plus button. You see that? It will give me an up arrow, but it's not doing it. But it's okay. I'll do it on my phone, and it'll still catch up. 1 second. Okay, no, there it goes. You see it? It's I guess the term populating. I think that's the term they use. All right, so okay. Whoa. All right, so it's pulling from everything from this chat, and it's saying these are the ways that it should be, adapted. All right, so now I'm gonna say apply all suggestions. All right, so look what it says. Below is a full, clean, iterated upgrade pack for Super Layman based on everything in this chat. So, like I said, it uses this weird language, but it's what? These are different things that I've been working on. And so it describes, it makes things sound all technical. Okay, so it's mentioned in Toronto here. That's funny. Let's see. Okay, give me a transfer prompt for the recent upgrade. Man, it's hot. Okay, so here's the new prompt. Now we're going to take it back into 1 John 5:1. Put it in here one more time. Here's the exact thing you asked for. So I'm going to tell it one more time. Based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? Because the idea is to merge and mutate, you know. So now I'm trying to bring it together with other stuff that I've already worked with, which should bring in some of the empathy and some of the other stuff that I develop in other things. I mean, it was straight up in battle mode, I guess, because I told it Twitter, and it's like Twitter's a pretty adversarial place. So based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? All right, so look at this. Below is a precise upgrade of Ron's rhetorical pattern, mocker dismissal, all of those things like that. And the guy has a lot going on, but he got out there defending Dr. White's view and all of that. And like I said, the provisionists are going to come at me too, so they can meet Super Layman as well. I responded to them as well. Adversary mockery converter. Anyway. All right. So now let's go to here. So watch this, guys. I'm going to use the snippet tool. It's a lot easier than when you're on your phone. A lot of times I'm having to be on my phone. So now I'm going to right click. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get another one. All right. And then just this last one for good measure. All right. And so let's see what it does. Look, I'm not telling it to do anything. All I'm doing is pasting this in. All right. So it says below is the correct next upgrade is Super Layman must receive based only on the newest set of tweets from Ron Herzl. Wow. It started upgrading just by the cheat. This behavior introduces new dynamics not covered by this. So this becomes an upgrade path. So it's all right. So I need to tell it to apply all suggestions and evaluate the screenshots. All right. So there it is. Okay, it's going in on them right now. It says moral shield and sympathy immunity. Oh, wow. This thing is ruthless. Look at it. Super Layman now detects when someone uses personal hardship or virtue to avoid arguments. Man. Super Layman responds with, whenever you return, identify the specific linguistic claim you believe is wrong. This preserves compassion without allowing rhetorical escape. Okay? So it's doing the analysis. I'm not going to go through all the analysis, but watch what the output is. Respond to him. So you're about to see that this is written in real time. Now the diction, the level of analysis may improve because we just evolved Super Layman a couple times based on the interaction. Look what it says. Okay, I'll respond confidently without getting defensive. Here are 2 ready deposit options. Pick the tone you like better. Option 1, single calm reply. Ron, I'm genuinely sorry to hear about your mother-in-law situation and we'll pray for you all. As for John, if anything in my Greek work is bad as you say, could you point out to one specific error, aspect, substantive participle, or the parallels? If I'm wrong on the text, show where and I'll gladly correct it. Option 2, slightly stronger, still respectful, 2 tweets. Ron, I'm sorry about your mother-in-law's condition and will pray for your family. I also understand if you don't have time to keep going just now. But for the record, you called my responses incoherent, pretentious, and drivel without identifying a single concrete mistake in the Greek. No aspect there, no misuse of the substantive participle, no problem with the parallels. Whenever you have time, I'm still asking for just one specific linguistic or exegetical error. If it mishandled the text, I'd own it. If not, the rhetoric doesn't change what First John actually says. So ChatGPT does this a lot. Like, it'll ask for one thing, and then it makes it sound like, okay, if you give me that one thing, I'll be satisfied. Well, one thing always leads to another. Okay? But yeah, so let's go with option 2. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that under here. Super Layman responds. Here is the YouTube link so you can see what it is and how it works. Oh man, okay. So let's paste the YouTube link. All right, so there's option 2. I'll go ahead and leave this because it's a response. Now, some people may say, oh, well, that's canned. Well, I mean, I'm trying to show people what ChatGPT does, okay? So this is like an interactive learning experience, but it also allows us to engage things at a higher level. Now, we're not done yet, okay? So, all right, go back through this entire chat and re-evaluate the 1 John 5:1 claims from every possible angle. Use full super layman force to do this. All right. Because this is kind of fresh, it shouldn't, sometimes the memory goes bad, but I'm thinking that it will keep up with this chat and this conversation. So I said from every possible angle. As soon as it gets done thinking. And so while we're just wasting time here and everything, basically the thing to understand about the argument is I don't believe that you should read any adverbial force into the Greek substantive participle. Okay? And what I mean by adverbial force is whenever people are making he that has been born of God, how's the passage say it in 1 John 5? We'll go back to Twitter real quick and let me read it from here. Let me go back to the James White thing. All right. Where'd it go? Here it is. All right, so we'll do like an observation sheet. and all the ones doing the righteousness have been born from him. Okay, so the argument that they try to do is they try to say this is a perfect part of, the perfect verb. Okay, perfect. Now the perfect is a whole debated category in Greek. There's different views about the perfect, which we could go into. And this guy mentioned Con Campbell, which in Advances of Greek, he goes into all of that. But the argument that they're trying to say is that this present participle, right, is being used here, and that this is the verb that's being used here. So they're trying to say that the one doing the righteous has been born of God. That you have to say that this means the one doing righteous has already been born of God. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that there's a temporal relationship, okay? And they're basically, some people have tried to argue that this is regeneration preceding faith, that born of God is not just a statement for positional truth or something like that, but rather this is an argument and saying the one doing the righteous, which only believers can do because they receive Christ's imputed righteousness, has been regenerated before that point. That's how some people use the argument. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, look, you're teaching works if you take this approach, because the one doing the righteous has been born of God. That would make it sound like it's saying, if you take it any other way, then that makes it sound like you're saying that that works make you born again. Okay. But the thing is the one doing the righteousness, I take this as experiential righteousness in the walk. And I also take Ganao in the sense of the perfect can be referring to this. It can be referring to maturity aspect. So related to sanctification. There's a dissertation, I think that his name is Curtis, wrote that mentions this. I'll plug that into ChatGPT in a minute. So then you go to, and all the ones loving have been born from God. So the ones doing, the ones loving. And so what they try to argue, and this is the same argument that Matt Yester used in 2017, which he learned from James White, and I think James White got it from Piper based on an older video that I saw at that time, is they try to say it's the exact syntactical parallel statement, because you got Genetai right here, and then you have Hapastuon. But I mean, so you got all the believing ones that, right? The believing ones that Jesus is the Christ. All the ones believing that Jesus is the Christ. So this whole thing right here is functioning sort of like a semantic subject. Okay? A semantic subject. Now the nominative is right here. So there's the grammatical subject. Okay? And if you take this adjectival, then it would be modifying pos. Or if you take this as substantival, it's an adjective standing in place of the noun. All right, so then you have that, and so there's a content clause. Everyone believes that Jesus is the Christ, has been born of God. So they're saying that regeneration occurs before belief in that approach. Otherwise, the only option based on these syntactical parallels is to say that that works cause you to be born again. Of course, you can make descriptive arguments from the substantival participle, which they usually do. But if I understand it right, this argument came about whenever the provisionists tried to make an argument saying that this is saying that belief is prior to belief happens first and then you're born. I think that was the argument that was initially made. Now, when in my discussion in 2017, I was like, no, I just want us to deal with the substantival participle and not the theology. You know, we can deal with the theology later. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. Let's get back to here. So look, here's what it did. Here's what it said. All right. So this is doing a full evaluation of the chat. All right. Here's the concentrated everything on the table evaluation of 1 John 5:1 using your full super layman stack, grammar, aspects, semantics, discourse, parallels, and theological implications. I'll keep the structure tight, but go very deep. The text and basic structure, Greek, right? So it gives the morphology, the natural translations, syntactic angle, what the construction can and can't do. It's not adverbial, it's saying, and it's pulling from my paper here. So it doesn't have time relations, it's not causal and all that. There are no such markers here. Logical form, aspect and temporality angle. So it's evaluating that. The present participle, the semantic angle, identity markers versus causes, parallel passages, the consistency test, evidence implies causation. Does the semantics demand that? Category confusion, evidence versus explanatory ground, evaluation of the main competing readings. So you got Calvinists, you got provisionists, you got other people in this chat, you know, and I'm just going to continue to build off of this. So the discourse and purpose angle, final verdict, what 1 John 5:1 gives and what it does not. So it says what it says and what it doesn't say, implications for the current debate. All right, so now I'm going to inform it a little bit more. So I'm going to go to 1 John, sanctification, David Dunn. And I'm going to take this. I'm a human, yes. I'm a human using ChatGPT, and it's a tragedy that is a no from me. All right, so let's just use notes. Okay, this is the paper. So we'll upload this. Hey, come back. Downloads. We'll upload the paper and we'll upload the slideshow. This is from a 2011 Conference of Sanctification. All right. Now we're going to bring this in. That's not it. Where'd it go? Yeah, that's it. Hey, Control Shift. It's supposed to pick 2, right? All right, there they are. All right, so it's uploading both. All right. How does this? How does this paper and presentation relate to the discussion? That's going to bring up a dissertation about Curtis in a minute, and also some stuff about Ganao. Okay. Okay, so it's interesting. It's uploading every time. I mean, it's upgrading on its own now. So core insight from this chat. Required super layman. 1 John. Man, I didn't want to. It's just going crazy right now. Yeah. All right. So evaluate David Dunn's work. A full 1 John discourse analysis. It says I can run a full discourse analysis on it. So it should be going back to David Dunn's. Yeah. Okay. So it needs me to post the papers again. Evaluate these papers as it relates to the discussion. Hopefully it's not messing up. Okay, now we got test of live, test of fellowship, executive summary. I'm not so focused on that. I just want to show y'all something. Full valuation. All right, experiential. This is going through evaluating all the categories. Ganao, perfect tense. Yeah, let me read this. This is from Curtis's dissertation, and David Dunn sent me this dissertation. The perfect tense of Ganao in 1 John often implies maturity, not merely regeneration. Born of God believers do righteous, do not sin, love, overcome. Therefore, born of God in 1 John equals the abiding believer, not simply saved person. All right. Now, there's another thing that I add in, and my Logos is not open right now, but that's all right. If we upload, let's go to Bible.org. If we upload, let's see, Bible study tool, net Bible. No thanks. So there's a discussion about how to translate, and I got videos on this. In 1 John 3:9, there's a discussion about, look how they translate it. Everyone who has been fathered by God does not practice sin because God's seed resides in them, and thus they're not able to sin because they've been fathered by God. And that's how they translate born of God. So, and it says the imagery expressed refers to the action of male parent procreation by this choice in translating. Now, Kubo does not practice sin. Let's see what else I want to include. Yeah. All right. So we'll go here. Evaluate this from the Net Bible. And while that's cooking, we'll go to 1 John 5. 5:1 has been fathered. Same. So look what they do here. It says the verb ganao here means to be fathered by God and thus a child of God. The imagery in 1 John is that of the male parent who fathers children. See the note on fathered in 229 for further discussion of the imagery. Okay, so I'm going to put that in and then go to 229. This is the net 2. So in my prior time, I was working with the net 1. If you know that he's righteous, you know that everyone in practice rights have been fathered by him. So that's number 69. So it's given a discussion about ganao here. So the point is that they're taking father as in source. I take father as imitation. Okay. So I don't, the way that the provisionists and the Calvinists are debating this, I don't even debate it. I mean, I don't even debate it this way. And I've been on record. My first debate with Church and Fan dealt with that in that way. So yeah, look, it's saying the NET overreads it. Look, see, it's picking up behavior resemblance category, imitation, basically, on the lexical issue born versus fathered. And you could compare John 8 for that imitation imagery. So And like I said, I have other videos on this. All right. So now that we have all of that, write a summary of our findings so far concerning 1 John 5:1 so I can paste it to Twitter or X. Okay, here's a tight, punchy, summary size thread, Twitter ready, capturing everything we established about 1 John from Greek aspect, discourse, and parallels. It avoids academic clutter but keeps the precision. Copy paste as is. Summary of our findings on 1 John 5:1. This is just until now. Now, when Layton and them do their thing today, I'll have more to add. After examining 1 John 5:1 through Greek grammar, verbal aspect, discourse flow, and the parallel passages 229, 47, here's what becomes clear. The participle hapastuon is substantival. It functions as a noun, the one who believes, not an adverb. When, if, because he believes. So you can't derive a before, after, cause sequence from its tense form. Now, what I'm fixing to do is I'm fixing to pull up Bateman's work and plug it in and have it evaluate that. I need to get my Logos going here. Give me a second. I think that's the most recent Greek thing I have on 1 John. All right. The perfect gegenitized dative. It describes the present state is in the born of God condition. Perfect tense here does not tell you when or how this birth happened relative to believing. 3. The grammar does not give a ordo salutis. There's no causal marker. Nothing in the syntax says new birth causes faith or faith causes new birth. 4. The 3 parallels must be treated consistently. Everyone doing righteous has been born of God. Everyone loving has been born of God. Everyone believing has been born of God. If you read 5:1 as new birth causes faith, then by the same grammar, 229, new birth causes doing righteous. New birth causes loving. Or if you flip it, doing righteousness causes new birth, or loving causes new birth. No one holds these consistently. John's purpose isn't causal mechanics, it's family resemblance. The born of God statements describe the characteristics of God's children. They believe, they love, they practice righteous. These are identity markers, not salvation tests. In 1 John, born of God is a family believer frame. It's about moral, spiritual resemblance within fellowship, not a grammatical proof of regeneration precedes faith. Bottom line, 1 John 5:1 does not teach that regeneration causes faith. It also does not teach that faith causes regeneration. It simply identifies the believer as one who shares the family resemblance of God-born community, just like loving and doing righteous in the exact same construction. Okay, so now we're going to open up Bateman, most likely. Let me see. 1 John. Oh, and we can use Logos AI in a second too. So yeah. Okay, we got Plummer, among Merkel and them. So we'll use that. So we'll get their 520 argument. And yeah, I know that it could be involved. I'm sorry, 5:1. I know that there could be other things that could be said in those other passages, but I'm just giving y'all a taste of what I normally do. All right, so we'll paste that in there, and then so this is the most recent commentary on John that I have. I usually go to best commentaries and go from recent back, so it's evaluating things. So they're saying it reinforces, it's not temporal. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that part. Function as substantive participle and modified attributed by pause. Know how pos occurs in the predicate position when functioning attributably to mean every. Hadi introduces indirect discourse. Okay, I thought content. Yeah, the content of what a person believes. So S.M. Ball quoted there. Let's see. The phrase "pasa pasturon es Jesus estin a Christos" functions as a subject in genitai. That's exactly what I said. All right. The prepositional phrase "ectu theou" communicates source or origin, and adverb modifies the verb gegenitai. So talking about the uh, preposition, the genitive, object, and preposition, and then so it goes through the love part. They really love the father. Principles of a father. An extra little element has been provided above to help the reader follow. The clause gives us the generally observed principles that people who love a man, see, says general, so we're dealing with gnomic present, who is a father will love his children as well. This term is applied in the next verse to the relationship of Christians to God as their father. Believers should love all of God's children if they really love God the Father. Doesn't mean if they're really saved, it means that they really love. Now, I'm not making a statement on their theology, just making a statement about that. Now, I think, let me click commentary. Did I not spell commentary right? My eyesight's getting bad. All right. Where are you? Big idea. Okay, we got Cruz, which we can bring in for pillar as well. Yeah, we'll bring that in because that's pretty recent. The verse being, everyone who believes that Jesus Christ born of God. Here the author reintroduces the theme he developed early in the letter, remind his readers that only those who believe that Jesus is Christ are born of God. This is something that cessationists deny, but true believers acknowledge at least one point in their life. Okay, let's see if there's anything here. Born of God discussed commentary where it's noted that the best explanation of what it means as far as members of an author's community were concerned is found in two places in the fourth gospel. In both places made very clear that being born of God is quite different from natural birth. It is something initiated by God and affected through his spirit, and it takes place in conjunction with people's faith in Christ. Okay. Father also loves the Father as well. All right, pretty much the same thing that. So there's a couple others, but I want to get to the Bateman one. Let me just go ahead and type in Bateman because I like Bateman. John's letters, exegetical. This is a big idea series thing. Pretty cool. Theological nugget. 1-5. Oh, I can't include the textual critical nugget. All right. I guess I can include it now. All right. So there's 5-1. So we got some pretty good representative sources for right now. It's still thinking, still evaluating all this. All right. So it's bringing in all that. So he's taking it as gnomic and extensive perfect. And I could evaluate the perfect and the whole debate about the perfect and all of that, but I hope y'all are getting an idea. Now, watch what I'm fixing to do next. Write a response. Wait. Rewrite the summary of our findings on 1 John 5:1 so far. Hey, Free Grace. I couldn't sleep, so here I am. So here's a fresh, clean, punchy, and fully updated summary of findings 1 John, rewritten to include everything we discovered from Bateman, Cruz, NET, Dunn, S.M. Ball, Runge, Stanley Porter, Coley, Wallace, Campbell, and the full Super Layman Omega analysis. This is optimized for Twitter X, tight, sharp, and devastating. Summaries of our findings on 1 John 5:1 updated. After examining 1 John 5:1 with full lexical, syntactical, aspectual, discourse, and contextual analysis, and there's more we could have done. Plus, the parallels in 229 to 47, here's what the text actually says and does not say. Hopastu is a substantival participle, not temporal or causal. It functions as a noun. The one who believes, not when, if, because he believes. A substantival participle has zero temporal force unless externally marked, and here it isn't. The genitive is a state of perfect, not a timeline. Perfect equals present state is in the God-born condition. It does not encode regeneration before faith or faith before regeneration. 3. The clause expresses identity, not sequence. John is describing who the believer is, not how the believer became a child of God. No causal markers, no temporal markers, no ordo salutis. The parallels make causal readings impossible. Same construction at 229, 47, 51. If 5:1 teaches regeneration before faith, and 229 teaches regeneration before righteousness, and 4:7 regeneration before love. If 5:1 teaches faith causes regeneration, 225 teaches works causes regeneration, and 4:7 love causes regeneration. No one accepts either set. 1 John 5, John's use of genao in 1 John is family identity language, not new birth mechanics. He applies begotten, born of God to believers who love, practice righteous, believers who believe Jesus is the Christ, believers who are loved by other believers. This is family resemblance, not regeneration sequencing. One to expose the entire category, born of God is relational. The one fathered by him in verse 1b refers to other believers, not Christ, and not the regeneration moment. This proves born of God is an identity of belonging, not a mechanical event in an ordo salutis debate. 7. The context is anti-cessationist doctrine, not metaphysics. John is marking true believers. I would not use that language, but okay. Right confession, love for God's children, righteous behavior. He is not laying out a causal chain. He has drawn a line between Orthodox Christian believers and those who deny Jesus as the Christ. Bottom line, 1 John 5:1 teaches no causal sequencing wherever. No regeneration causes faith. No faith causes regeneration. It identifies believers as God's children, just as righteous and love identify them. It is an identity statement, not an ordo salutis statement. Okay, so now I'm going to say, based on this chat, how should Super Layman be upgraded? In a minute, I'm going to run the deep research thing. So here's its suggestions for the upgrade pack. All right. So, apply all suggestions to upgrade. Sometimes it just automatically does it if I have it written right, but I don't have it written right. All right, so here it is. So I'm fixing to switch to deep research. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to evaluate. Oh, you know what? I need to do this in Logos first because it'll get more accurate. So let's go to Logos Study Assistant. Okay. Evaluate. All right. So what is the relation? Let me see. What is the Greek meaning of 1 John 5:1 and its implications for regeneration preceding faith or not? Okay, so this is going to search all books. So that's 300,000 books within Logos. I own 23,000, I think. Let me check. I got to erase this. 22,200 are showing right here. So not quite. But it's going to search all books within Logos. You got all books in your book. So we're going to search 300,000 books for this. Okay, so you can see the outputs that are going on here. Okay. Interesting. The interpretation is deeply contrasts to Reformed and Free Grace theologians. So it already knows I'm Free Grace. The Greek grammar is crucial. Believers present active participle, while it's been born as perfect passive. This means regeneration is an action completed in the past with ongoing effects. What some argue indicate. Well, I'm going to ask it about the perfect in a minute. The debate about the perfect. But you got David Anderson talked about and Matthew Barrett. So okay, that was for the whole library, right? So all right, so I can I could switch it to my books and narrow it down, and I'll get more hits like that. But I'll just keep it in general. But I got lots of books across different traditions. So, okay, I'm trying to think what I want to do. All right, so what is the force of the Greek perfect and the debate around the perfect? All right. So it should quote Con Campbell, Greek Verb Revisited, and hopefully some journals and some other stuff. Okay. Yes. Yeah. There we go. Good. See, what I'm doing now is I'm just loading this stuff up in here. That way, when it goes into deep research mode, and there's more that I could do. I'm not denying that. I mean, I can go to those resources and paste stuff in. All right. Come on. It's bogged down. All I gotta say is this, guys. If I'm doing this in one stream, whoever formally debates me on this topic, they better prepare really well. Okay, so there's the evaluation of those resources. So it's also doing that. Okay, and then I wanted to ask the question about how should substantival. All right, so I'm going to ask you the more specific question. Do substantival participles ever have adverbial force? So that could cover aspect, that could cover action start, that could cover the adverbial categories. So it's saying yes, and it's using that grammar there and Merkle and stuff. Wish I would have had it when I wrote my paper. But yeah, all right. So we got some stuff in there about the Greek perfect. We got some stuff in there about the participles. We got some stuff in there about the regeneration part. Okay. So now that we got that, oh look, GPT's debating it already over here. All right, so now we're gonna go to deep research, and I'm gonna say this: perform exegesis on 1 John 5:1 and evaluate all claims for and evaluate all claims. We'll just keep something basic like that. All right. Now I'm making it pretty broad. I said perform exegesis. So look what it does. To thoroughly evaluate all claims, could you please clarify the scope you'd like me to include? Are you interested in analysis limited to the Greek grammar and syntax? Should I incorporate theological interpretation, Calvinist, free grace, regeneration? Would you like a historical patristic interpretation considered as well? Should I include recent scholarly commentary, limit classic resources? Are there particular claims or interpreters you'd like to weigh? It's saying it's by a lighter version that's being powered right now, but I said choose what you believe will be best for this study output. So it says, I'm great. I will perform a full exegetical analysis of 5.1, integrating Greek grammatical analysis, theological implications, especially regarding the order of regeneration of faith, and the interpreted claims of both Reformed and Free Grace theologians. This will include evaluation of relevant grammatical constructions, especially perfect, passive, indicative, and present participle, lexical semantics, scholarly interpretation, Wallace, Dunn, Anderson, Cruz, others. I'll let you know as soon as the exegesis is finished. So you can look on the side over here, right? I can actually pull it up like this. All right, right here. Oh, my wife is messaging. Okay. Exegetical theological evaluation 5.1. Okay, let me see. I'm analyzing the Greek grammar, focused on Christology, regeneration, interpretations from Reform and Free Grace traditions to understand. I wish it would have went after provisionist writings, but it'll probably still find it. Search for 1 John 5:1 Greek text. Man, this thing's spitting so fast, can't keep up. I'm refining the search to gather detailed insights of biblical Greek grammar, especially perfect tense and participles, to address the theological debate on faith and regeneration. Search for 1 John 5:1 regeneration faith. I'm digging into James White's piece on 1 John 5:1, Brian Absciano's thoughts, and Piper's views on regeneration and faith. Modernism articles are seeming intriguing. So I found all that, right? 1 John 5:1, Piper, Barrett, Anderson. I'm gathering insights from the monogenes article by John Piper considering Schreiner's work in the SBTS repository. Search for John Piper and 1 John 5:1 article. I'm gathering various theological perspectives on whether regeneration precedes faith, including Reformed, Free Grace, and specific authors like Piper, Barrett, Anderson, commentaries such as Cruz and Brown. Search for 1 John 5:9, Cruz commentary. I'm working through PDFs for John 1-3 commentary by Cruz. Let me see if these resources might provide the specific commentary text needed. Search for commentary on 1 John 5:1, Cruz. I'm gathering insights on 1 John 5:1 commentary, considering Sam Storm's stance on free grace. And I didn't even know he specifically addressed it. It's interesting. Noting Wallace Porter's perspective. Spoiler, it's insightful. Search for 1 John 5:1, Wallace grammar. I'm piecing together sections like Greek text, grammatical analysis, syntactic structure, lexical analysis, theological implications, and references to authors like Wallace and Campbell and Porter for the exegesis of 1 John 5:1. Search for Gegenitai, perfect passive, 1 John 5:1, Wallace. The entry title, Does Regeneration Precede Faith in 1 John, from a PDF by Mid-American researchers, suggests examine the chronological order of faith and regeneration. Okay. I'm looking at how the author views the transition from Wesleyan Arminianism to Reformed doctrines, particularly focusing on the implications of regeneration of faith in 1 John. Read more from Mid-America EDU. Okay, let's break down Barrett's piece. He backs the monogenistic view, suggesting regeneration causes faith, using Greek and Bible translations to support his claims. Read more from Mid-America EDU. I'm taking Barrett's citation of Piper's view that suggests regeneration precedes faith for 1 John 5:1. Now I'm looking into the free grace perspective. I'm thinking through the source, 1 John 5:1-2 by Sam Storms. It's possibly from his blog, but require more detail to confirm. Search for David Anderson, 1 John 5:1, regeneration, assessing regeneration of faith, read DBTS EDU. Searching 1 John 5:1 and document which discusses regeneration and saving faith to illuminate their logical relationship. I'm digging into Greek grammar, focusing on participles and perfect tense, exploring the relationship between pisteuon and gegenitai, considering syntactical nuances, and consulting Wallace's grammar. Search for gegenitai in 1 John grammar, participle pisteuon. I'm gathering various materials, including the basic Bible Hub definition, Lang's commentary, Mid-America PDF, and a reply from Brian Opsiano's Evangelical Armenians.org. Read studylight.org. Lang's commentary asserts regeneration precedes faith, specifically referencing 1 John 5:1. This viewpoint is addressed in lines 91 and 95 of his commentary. So reading EDU, I'm examining the use of the present participle perfect tense of 1 John 5:1, emphasizing the ongoing aspect of faith, aligning with Wallace's concept of normative present. Read more. I'm digging into the definition of normative and policy reference, looking at Wallace's normative perfect, which emphasizes the current state post-event, highlighting the perfect tense, focus on the outcome of the action. This suggests more options may be explored, upcoming passage. I'm piecing together visibility options for page 34, which partially visibly at the bottom. Piecing the Wallace's collapse perfect and normative perfect. I clarify the perfect tense focus on resultant states and ongoing effects, interest, insights, and aspect. Search for normative perfect, Wallace Campbell, Greek tense grammar. Checking out a brief guide to aspect in Greek, part 3, the perfect, to grasp the nuances of the perfect aspect in Greek. This should clarify things nicely. Read koinegreek.com. I'm gathering info on the perfect tense, seeing if it applies to Koine Greek, especially 1 John. I'm detailing Greek grammar, focusing on present and perfect passive forms, participle, syntactic structure, lexical analysis, specific tense nuances are also included. Search for has been born perfect passive badag, gegenomai, meaning him. I'm thinking about the concordance as a viable choice for search result. Okay, let me see. The dictionary translation can be cited perfect passive indicative of ganao to mean I've been born, indicating completed action with ongoing results. Search for Campbell, Black, Greek, perfect passive aspect. I'm noting the recent results are the 1 John and the birth from God, a Calvinistic response to Constantine, probably Campbell, and checking the details. Okay. Trying to gauge the bias in all things New Covenant. It's clear the blog leans toward monogenism, presenting the Calvinistic theologian take on divine birth, driving faith and love. Pins down Campbell's viewpoints. So I'm looking at authors like Dave Anderson, Bob Wilkins, Zane Hodges to understand perspectives on 1 John 5:1 and faith regeneration. Search for 5:1, faith precedes regeneration, Dave Anderson. I'm examining 5:1 and Anderson's quotes explore the implications of Ordo Salutis on free grace theology. Okay, let me see. Wellesley's stand hinges on the justification of tomorrow's move. Consider 10 days typical notice and 30-day review period. What was that about? Piecing together claims, Anderson critiques Piper's handling of 1 John 5:1. Okay, noting Piper's lack of Greek expertise, significant factor in his cautious approach. So Anderson was working on that. I wonder when he started working on that. I was working on it in 2017. It was actually developing in 16, I think. Anderson criticized Piper's claim by misinterpreting Greek grammar, particularly the perfect tense, and argues that the Greek participle postulon functions as an adjective. I'm working through Absciano's viewpoint, focused on his thoughts of regeneration for faith. This reveals clear distinctions in theological interpretation. I'm thinking about whether regeneration happens before faith, using 1 John 5 as evidence. The article challenges Piper's claim about faith and new birth, addressing grammatical and non-grammatical issues. It also discusses specific Greek tense combinations. I'm thinking through options around 41. Absciano highlights the limitations of grammatical arguments for faith preceding regeneration from 1 John 5:1, illustrating the evolution of grammar theories. Okay, let me see. The reference to 43, some kind of, I don't know what that is. Identifying key scholars, Piper, Matthew Berry, David Anderson, to offer nuanced understanding of beliefs on regeneration and faith. Search for clearest text of 1 John 5:1, Piper. I'm thinking about the potential blog post from Desiring God on John, which seems to focus on living by the Spirit. All right, so it went down a John Piper hole. John Stott's explanation. They're going through that. Dave Anderson. More David Anderson. Highlighting the grammar, 1 John 5. It's going to text of criticism. Variant. Gospel Coalition. Jack Mormon. Okay. Like I said, this is a lower version, like it says, for deep research, but it still is helpful. Went into Catholic resources here. Wallace, Badag. Says, I'm examining the tensions between monogenous Reformed and synergist free grace arguments, noting Piper's ideas that believing follows rather than causes new birth. Okay. I'm comparing Sam Storms and David Allen argue faith is evidence of new birth to suggest a deeper look at scripture context crucial. I'm mapping out whether Bateman appears in John's letters. This involves cross-reference the book's contents to verify his presence and contributions. I pasted Bateman in there, so it shouldn't be hard. I'm piecing together insights from John's letters, right? Okay, incorporating Greek grammar, lexicon, theological perspectives, compare free grace, reformed views. MacArthur, Cruz's commentary. So it's pulling from the chat. Checking the credibility of Peripatesin. Yeah, that's the inductive site. Craig Kingner's commentary. Wondering about creations all around me. I'm gathering info on Cruz's view that the various lesser great arguments showing God's testimony more significant human testimony. I guess it went on a tangent there. I guess it's got ADHD. All right. I think what I'm going to do for a thumbnail is I'm probably going to put James White on one side, Leighton Flowers on another side, and David Allen, and then me. I'm kind of tired, though. I'll probably do that thumbnail later. See, you can tell it's almost finished just right here. Let's go look at Twitter, see if anybody's waking up to this and if they're trying to go in on me. So one thing is going to happen. Either somebody's going to underestimate me. They're going to say, man, he don't know what he's talking about. He's just like ChatGPT. Like, okay. So this guy, of course, is showing up in my stream because I've had an interaction with them. And, of course, Dr. White is showing up right now. I don't even think I'm following him. No. I don't mind following him, but I'm not trying to go after him. You know what I mean? I appreciate White in certain areas. So I'm not seeing anything responding to the stuff I put out there. And that's fine. It's early in the morning. And maybe somebody won't respond. He was basically saying, I hope they don't respond. Okay. Dismiss me now and don't prepare for the debate, the discussions later, and it's just going to hurt you in the long run. You know? Alright, so this is what it wrote. Okay? So I can download this as a PDF. I can upload it. All right, Greek translation NHV. The verse reads, Pas apostouan hati Jesus estin Christos ek tu theia gigenatai kai pasa agaponton agapsanta agapa kai ton gigenamanon ex auto. Literally, everyone believing that Jesus is the Christ has been born of God, and everyone who loves the Father also loves the one born of him. Common translations render this as above, implying the present faith in Christ associated with having been born of God. For example, Piper and Taylor phrase this is the clearest text in relation to faith in the new birth. Okay. Grammar and syntax. Grammatically, pas apostouan is articular present active participle. Everyone believing, functioning substantively. It governs the clause hadi Jesu es Christo, that Jesus is the Christ, indicating the content of belief. The main verb is gegenetai, perfect passive indicative third person singular from ganao, begot, give birth. Literally has been born of God, i.e. by God is agent, ektu theou. Thus, the structure is subject, pas apostouan, everyone believing, predicate, ektu theou gegenetai, has been born of God. In the second clause, pasa agapon, agapaton, gegemenon, parallels the first, present participle ha agapon, the one loving the Father, with present verb, agapa, loves, and gegenominon, perfect passive participle as object. In short, John uses substantive participles pastouon and agopon to denote the subject whosoever believes and whosoever loves, and a perfect indicative gegenetai to assert the result. Note that the second kai before gegenominon is bracketed in critical text as a later addition and may be omitted in some manuscripts. The syntax is straightforward. The participle phrase served as adjectival nominal subjects, and gegenetai is the only finite verb in verse 1. Verbal forms and aspect. The present participle pastouon denotes ongoing or continuing action. Whoever is believing. As Wallace notes, often called the normative present, emphasizes the sustained character of the faith. Wallace and others point out that such a present participle emphasizes continuing faith and the one who believes continually. The perfect indicative gegenetai indicates a past action with continuous results. But Dag defines gegenetai as has been born, a completed action whose effects remain. Wallace calls the perfect's normal use of the normative perfect, focusing on the resultant state. This use of the perfect does not exclude the notion of a completed act, rather focuses on the resultant state. Thus, gegenetai conveys that a person has been born of God and remains so. The combination of a present participle and perfect finite verb simply states the one who is now believing has in the past been born. Crucially, Greek perfects normally highlight present reality from past action. Here, believers now exist as God's children due to a past birth. Not a strict chronological ordering, but tense alone. Lexical note. Pastouon means believe, have faith. Here with a subordinate clause, hati Jesu estin Christo gegena. Gegenao means to give birth, to begot, passive to be born. Gegenetai is the perfect passive, has been born of God. Gegenetas, one who has begotten, is the aorist active participle referred to the Father. Gegenemonos, the one begotten, is perfect passive participle. The Greek emphasized persons, everyone believing is born of God, and everyone loving the one who begot the Father loves the one begotten of the Son. The perfect tense aspect. The perfect agenitized should be understood as especially completed the act new birth and has present effect being God's child. I don't like how it's explaining things, but okay. As Wallace explains, Greek tense signal aspect viewpoint more than temporal sequence. All right. The perfect here has a normative sense. The new birth is an event that occurred before the believer's past, and its results belonging to God's family continue now. The focus is on the present state, has been born and so remains born, not on moving event strictly before the other. In short, the grammar shows that being born of God perfect is an accomplished reality, reproducing the ongoing state of faith. And then goes into theological debate, reform argument, free grace argument, free grace, summary of positions, commentary perspectives, textual notes, historical theological summary, and so on. So I could actually just now I could say evaluate this based on the Greek verb revisited and super Layman. Uh-oh. Dang it. I need to cancel that because it's still in deep research mode. But maybe I could do that later. I'm fixing to have to get ready for work. So yeah, hopefully y'all see what super layman is and that I really am using ChatGPT and responding to these things. Look. All right, so watch this. We'll go ahead and do this one. So Nate is responding to the to that's all that's offered comment. So I'm gonna pause this. Yeah, I want to stop. I just want to go back to more. Let's see, study and learn. I'll click study and learn and switch it back. How do I turn it off? Agent mode, create image, deep research. Let me just close out and come back in. All right, so now I'm going to paste this in. It shouldn't be deep research now. Hopefully it's not. If it is, I'll have to start another one. The tweet from Nate argues that 1 John 5:1 isn't about conversion, i.e. someone initially becomes a believer, but rather addresses the ongoing behavior and lifestyle of people who already believe. He insists that both the grammar and context support the reading and rebukes attempts to use the verse to establish the order of salvation, specifically whether regeneration being more God precedes faith. All right, so yeah, all right, so let's do this. Respond to it. Wow. Yeah, let's give it. Why would it? Yeah, why would it shift? I don't understand why it's doing that. So now let me say, evaluate all of this chat based on Greek verb revisited and super layman. No! It keeps going into deep mode whenever I do that. All right, I'll just let it go into deep mode and maybe do some more later. Maybe even plug in latent stream and stuff later on. So there'll be a part 2 for this. But yeah, I got to get ready for work. Anyway. Hope this is beneficial to y'all guys. May give y'all some ideas or at least understanding what I'm attempting to do. Yeah, so check out more content old stuff, new stuff. It's all good. God bless.